Hey Judith, it's Chris Grenier here. I got your email last night, a little bit later on in the evening, so I didn't have time to respond to you just then, but fortunately I do have some time now, and they are some great questions, and I want to take a minute to make sure I explain them all thoroughly for you. Your first question is, do you have to inspect a property before we start? And the answer is no. If you would like, you certainly can perform an inspection on the property so you know what to expect when you sell the house, and then the buyers who are buying the house inspect it again. So nothing is really a surprise. However, basically the way it goes when you sell a property in the States that you'll sell the property, somebody else will be buying the property, and that buyer is going to perform an inspection on the house to make sure that obviously everything is up to par and the air conditioner works good, the roof is in good condition, the appliances, etc., etc. Now, you can do that yourself if you want to do it beforehand and kind of beat them to the punch, but in my opinion, and it's very, very rare, it's a waste of money, which would be about $300 to $500 to get a complete property inspection done when the buyer is going to do it anyways. So you might as well let them spend the money and let them do the research and the homework for you so you could save the cash that way. One of the key things, actually, while I'm still talking about that, is when they do perform the inspection, an inspector's job is to find things wrong with the house and not necessarily tell the buyer or the owner that everything is great on the property. So if an inspector doesn't find a laundry list of things that is wrong with the property, then whoever paid them is going to feel that they didn't do a good job. So do not be surprised, even though the house is obviously in good condition now, the tenants are happy, and there isn't really anything blatantly wrong with the property. The inspector is going to find some silly little things, such as one of the faucets might not have enough water pressure coming out of it, or some of the outlets aren't running high enough voltage to standard or something like that. But I really don't think we're going to have anything to worry about with the inspection. The next question. Will you suggest a valuation and a plan of sale, i.e. auction prices over a price guide? Yes, absolutely. What we will do, and what I'm going to do for you, is perform what's called a comparative market analysis, a CMA as we call it. And basically what that does is that looks at all the properties around yours that have sold recently within the past 6 months that are comparable in size, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, age, key features, and all that good stuff, because that's how you value a property based accurately, because obviously you're going to want $1 million for your house if you could get it, but that's just not feasible. You really need to go based on what was sold around it recently, and that's how you're going to really judge what you're going to be able to sell the property for. Now, there's obviously some extenuating circumstances that are going to determine the values of a property being higher or lower based on the condition or just how hot the market is. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, this is before me doing any research, a house next door to yours sold for $80,000 a couple months ago. The market's moved up pretty much 1 to 1.5% a month for the past year or two, so it would be safe to say that you could sell your house for $84,000. Now, that's just an example. So next question. I'm sorry, and plan of sale? Plan of sale is actually very easy, fortunately for us. We've really streamlined how we sell properties over the past few years after selling hundreds of them, especially that are pretty much exactly like yours. We market them all across the world, primarily in the UK, different parts of Europe. But this property particularly, I'm really confident we're going to find a local buyer, because that is a very hot market right now for first-time home buyers and also investors looking for tenanted investment properties, obviously. So we market the properties across the websites, such as the local MLS system, which is basically the website that every real estate broker uses. It's kind of like if you're a stockbroker, you log on and you see how stocks are performing and what stocks are trading for what. And the MLS system is that for real estate agents here in Florida. That's what we're able to see about new properties that hit the market, what they're for sale for, how long they've been on the market, all the key features and all that good stuff. But as well as all of the broadcasted marketing websites out there, such as Zillow and Trulia and HotPads and Yahoo Homes. But also a lot of premium international portal websites such as Rightmove, Zoopla, A Place in the Sun. So our marketing forecast just from the internet alone reaches literally millions of different buyers. So that's a great stretch. But another big thing is the fact that we have a substantial investor database who's going to be looking for a property just like yours. So undoubtedly, we're going to have this property sold for you in no time. I believe the tenant has renewed their lease. So do we target investors only? Yes. Ideally, we would want to target investors because getting a tenant out of a property, especially with a newly signed lease, is a pain in the butt. So if we can sell it to an investor who's interested in a property with a tenant in place, and that's perfect. However, we have seen circumstances and special sales where, you know, sometimes the owner or the new buyer will actually offer a cash for keys program, if you will, for the tenant, in which they pay for their moving expenses to get them out of the house, you know, so the new buyers can move in. Again, it's rare, but it's been known to happen depending on how good of an offer it is. What form of advertising do you usually use and recommend? I kind of touched upon that before. We're very heavily invested in different real estate websites around the country and world. So whenever we broadcast a property out, it reaches all the investors you could possibly imagine. And one of the good things about it is, with what the market's doing right now, if it's priced right, there's no property that's going to sit on the market stale just because the demand is simply there. And fortunately with us, we specialize in foreign national buyers, so we're consistently bringing in dozens of new investors every single day to our website and to see our properties and to actually fly them over here to Florida to put our properties that we have exclusively listed under us right in front of them. So they certainly get a tremendous amount of audience viewership, and that's what's going to really get your property sold ASAP. What are your basic fees and how does your commission system work? In Australia, it is a percentage of the final sales value or a flat rate. Yep, standard real estate commission in America is 6%. Now, that 6% is typically split between two different parties. One would be the listing agent, such as myself, and then the other would be the buying agent. So somebody who potentially has an investor or an owner-occupant who would be interested in a home. Now, obviously, sometimes our goal is to get both the listing and the buyer. So then we get the whole commission. So that's always a good thing. But, you know, sometimes we do have to split it. And a lot of the reason for that in terms of, you know, obviously us hopefully finding both, it's for the amount of money that we have invested that we spend monthly on all of our marketing systems, all of our licensing fees, and all of our brokerage fees, as well as what's called cost per lead. Because we do international real estate expos all around the world. Primarily right now in the UK at a Place in the Sun Expo, the investor shows, all of those shows, they obviously cost a substantial amount of money. And, you know, selling, let's just say $100,000 property at 6% isn't going to pay for the $25,000 it costs for a weekend to do an expo. But fortunately with us, you know, we have dozens of listings at any given moment, and fortunately we sell them so quickly that it's all about keeping the turnover strong and especially getting you the money that you want for your property as quickly as possible. Is there anything that you can do to prepare on your end? Not really. The only paperwork that you need to prepare on your end is what's called a listing agreement. Let me see if I have one here for you. I got one around here somewhere. But it's basically 3 pages that simply allow us, here you go, it basically looks like this. There's a lot of verbiage on it, and basically it just allows us to sell your property legally and under the rules and regulations of the Florida Association of Realtors. So basically it doesn't just allow anybody to go sell your property and negotiate on your behalf and legally and properly, you know, do contracts and paperwork and make sure that all the terminology is correct and all of the little things that go on behind the scenes of a transaction are done properly. You know, we're all licensed real estate agents here, all under a licensed brokerage. So there's obviously a list, a mile-long line of different, you know, ethical rules and actual, you know, rules of practice that you go through when you sell real estate in Florida and in the States. Obviously, some countries are different. Like in the UK, anybody can sell a piece of real estate, whether or not you know how to properly spell your first name. But fortunately here, you know, we're all very experienced and licensed real estate agents. I've sold hundreds of properties, a large majority of those in the same area as your property on Eagle Drive. So, you know, to me, this is a walk in the park, and I'm more than confident it's going to be sold very, very quickly and hopefully for a premium dollar. So you're able to walk away with a nice check at the end of the day. So I'll prepare the comparative market analysis for you now, get that over to you so you can take a look at it and you can see what your property is valued at most accurately. And then I'll follow up with the listing agreement and we can get the show on the road. Any other questions, please let me know, and I'll speak to you soon, Judith.